I'm Bhavidhir V. Bharadwaj. Welcome to episode 14 of Genesis of Tomorrow. The following is a conversation about quantum mechanics, AI, computer vision, quantum AI symbiosis, and quantum machine learning, and much, much more, with Dr. Matias Bilkis, who has a PhD in theoretical physics and machine learning, is the lead researcher in quantum machine learning at the Computer Vision Center of Barcelona, and external consultant in forecasting disruptive quantum technologies. Also, folks, 86.1% of you watching this have not subscribed yet. So please, if you're able to derive even the slightest bit of value from the show, please support us by clicking that subscribe button so that we can keep on improving the quality of the episodes and keep on bringing such wonderful guests over for you. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Enjoy and thank you. Thank you so much. But right, let's start by giving a fundamental background to people who aren't relatively familiar with the ongoings of this field. In your view, where do you think the intersection of quantum mechanics and artificial intelligence lies? And in particular, could we maybe even see AI systems evolving into quantum enhanced or optimized entities in future, and what implications would it have in different fields like computer vision and machine learning, these subfields?
Okay, yes, I think this is a very good trigger to begin the conversation. So, yeah, the first question was like how quantum mechanics can can find an overlap with machine learning. Okay, and And I was thinking, okay, how to answer this in a way that I guess the audience of this podcast are not precisely physicists, right? This is more oriented to people
The
with not
people
a
who are
strong background
pursuing
in.
it, yeah,
Sorry?
the people who are pursuing it, maybe students or just people who are starting out in the field.
Okay, so I was thinking when you asked me, you know, when computers became popular, okay, people suddenly began to find different applications and different use cases of these computers. For example, in something that has maybe a priori nothing to do with how we compute things or more hardcore scientific problems. For example, to do music, right? And it completely changed the way that we do music today. So I play the guitar. Um, but my friend is a DJ, right? And we all like, I don't know how it is in India, right? But here in Barcelona, electronic music it's really a thing. I mean, worldwide, I guess. So and it so what I want to say with this is that certainly a new wave of technology changed in an unexpected way how we interact with musical instruments, right? And our way to produce music. Okay, so nowadays that it is very popular and very used, right? The different methods of artificial intelligence. We use all ChatGPT or um, searching algorithms, image generation, so on. It is a very honest question to ask: how will a new or potentially new way or series of technologies, which are quantum technologies, could change our way to not only interact but also define machine learning or artificial intelligence tasks, right? As as this classical computers changed our way to do, say, for instance, music, we do expect that this new wave of technologies, if they ever come, which we strongly believe they will come, but maybe something else happen and they don't, it is very sensible to ask how they will change the, the things, our routines that are increasingly more being, mm, say, occupied by machine learning algorithms. Okay, so here we enter a bit more in the domain of something called information theory. Okay, and I don't want to be technical at all, and I will hand wave a lot, and maybe at the risk of saying some stuff which are not very rigorous, say. But I guess that in other versions of the podcast, you talked with people that are experts in information theory and quantum information theory, which is basically a mathematical framework in which you can describe how to manipulate this huge amount of data, right? So, for instance, suppose let's imagine an algorithm that collects all the interactions of that users have with YouTube and process them in real time. Okay, those are a lot of interactions. Those are a lot of data, right? But is there any limit to the way that we can process this data? Okay, these kind of questions are tackled by information theory. But if you change a bit the lenses and you say, okay, actually data like I don't know, Instagram likes or YouTube videos and this audio of the podcast can be compressed in bits like zeros and ones. But if you change the lenses and you think this quantum mechanically, then you quickly realize that these bits can actually be in a superposition and all this a priori fancy, which is not very fancy, it's very common in quantum mechanics. This way to have data in superposition, quantum correlations, and we englobate all this in what we like to call quantum phenomena, which is somehow separated from the classical world. And you can do an information theory that takes into account these quantum phenomena and also protocols that exploit these quantum phenomena in order to process this data, which might or might not be of quantum nature. Why am I saying all this? Well, because all these algorithms, for instance, these recommender videos for that work in YouTube or ChatGPT or image generation, whatever, they work by analyzing a lot of data, which is classical, okay? But it totally makes sense to ask, okay, what happens if I try to use these new or different alternative lenses, which is the lenses of quantum information theory, to understand the capabilities and also the limits of learning this data and proposing stuff? Can I discover some new phenomena, for example? Or can I find out that there are new limits? Well, okay, part of this is a possible intersection between quantum mechanics or quantum information theory and artificial intelligence. Okay? And this can lead to many interesting, mm, say, situations in which you say, okay, I can, I can study a quantum system that works under the laws of quantum mechanics, and they are very well defined, but the complexity of studying this system becomes very, very, very big as the size of the system increases. So, can I pose this problem of understanding a quantum system and its, for instance, evolution, which to make it a bit more concrete, it can be related to how energy can be stored in some material, or how can you design new drugs, or for example, how can you even design new algorithms that work under the principle of quantum computing? How can you do all this with a classical machine learning algorithm, which is the one that is in charge, for example, of the recommendation systems of YouTube? So we have many possible. This is another possibility of studying this intersection, in which you have a machine learning algorithm which works in this classical world and is, for example, there is this structure called the neural network, which mimics the way in which our brains work. And then we have these artificial neural networks, and we can program them very efficiently in a computer. And they turn out to work amazingly well for a wide variety of problems. Then the question is, okay, can we use these machine learning algorithms to understand better how to exploit the quantum phenomena to lead to new discoveries that might be linked to these new materials, drug discovery, different algorithms, for instance, to increase the efficiency when doing computations, and so on and so forth. Then I can go on, if I may, and we we can think on a different way, okay? Which is, okay, we can say I have this this machine learning algorithm that is somehow limited by its nature, which is classical. And okay, it can process a lot of information, like a lot of YouTube videos, etc. But if this machine learning algorithm wanted to process quantum information, which is this information that comes in superposition and correlations, this information quickly becomes too big to put inside the classical machine learning algorithm. So we need to find a way that a learning algorithm can process quantum information. Okay? And then we come to quantum agents that moves in a quantum world and process directly quantum information. Why would we like to do this? Well, at first, this is linked with the first claim I did, which is that ultimately the world is quantum mechanical, and a theory of information processing is also taking into account phenomena that happens in the quantum world, okay, leading to quantum information theory. So if we want to think on a learning agent that can work in a quantum world, we will also need to define how learning is in this quantum world, okay, and how the agent moves there, how it learns, how it processes the information, etc. And why would we even be motivated to do this if we don't care about the nature of the world, but we want to care about, say, the the applications. Say, for instance, okay, I don't care about physics, I don't care about machine learning, whatever, but I do care about, say, doing music and this electronic music stuff and whatever. And okay, maybe in principle you don't care about our theorems and our mathematical theories, but you do care about music and this and society and how well you live in a social world. Okay, and it turns out that we have strong evidence that we can use the phenomena happening in the quantum world, and we can exploit this phenomena to to process mm, certain type of data and to solve certain kind of problems faster, way faster than we could ever do without them. Okay, and then you enter in the domain of, for example, prime number decomposition, which is one of the core problems and also solutions in cryptography. You can also use these quantum algorithms to to find solutions of linear system of equations, which are extremely used among different areas of science, technology, but also applications like in simulating not only materials but also the traffic, and also, say, how sound can propagate through a media. So there might be a link with music there if we want to bring music into the play. And with this evidence that quantum algorithms might be more efficient than any other way in which we process some information, it is very sensible to ask, okay, can we aid our classical machine learning algorithms with these quantum algorithms to make them faster, to make them better, to make them more practical? Because even if these classical machine learning algorithms are very powerful, they do have their limitations. For example, training the classical machine learning algorithms is very, very costly. And this can only be done at um, this can only be done at a certain level in which you have a lot of resources to train this. Maybe not even here in academia we can train these machine learning models. And we need huge companies, for example, like OpenAI, like Microsoft, to to effectively train these crazy models that do amazing stuff, but we are certainly limited. Okay. Um, mhm.
I was also thinking about this. Currently, the majority of the framework or the approach that is being taken towards building or realizing quantum systems or quantum computers are generally revolving around the conception or the idea of entanglement, which has
Mhm.
its own set of issues. Maybe the distortions in the environment, fidelity issues, and decoherence times, all of that. Would there plausibly be other approaches that might be more viable, but we just aren't maybe thinking a little outside the box and taking a different route?
So your question is more in the direction of whether entanglement is a resource to do computations, or is the only
That,
resource to do quantum computations leading to quantum
yes,
advantage.
yes, yes.
And I think that this field of both quantum information theory and also artificial intelligence is very exciting because it's widely unexplored. Okay, and while there is a lot of movement, a lot of research, it's super hot, this topic nowadays. You have a lot of publications per day in both fields and also in quantum machine learning. We know very little. Okay, we know very little. There is the possibility to encapsulate these protocols leading to some advantage in terms of a mathematical theory called resource theory. Okay, and here the resource, for example, say, okay, our resource is a fuel, and without this resource we cannot drive a car. Okay, and then we have things for free, which are like our legs, and we can walk, and it's okay. But the resource is the fuel that allows us to drive the car, but at the same time it's a bit expensive to buy the fuel. So you can all encapsulate all this into a mathematical theory called resource theory. And then there are people studying whether there are other tasks related to computing in which quantum entanglement, is not the main resource, or is not a resource. And there are other notions of resources there. Okay. For example, like 10 years ago, there was another measure of quantum correlations called the quantum discord, and became very popular because it's somehow a weaker kind of quantum correlation, but that turned out to be a resource to do a certain, it was necessary, it was a resource to do a certain kind of algorithm which was linked to computing a property of a matrix. Okay, this algorithm is called DQC1, and in this algorithm, um, entanglement is not required, but only discord, which is a different kind of quantum correlation. Nowadays, there are other notions of which elements are necessary and required to do quantum computation, and there is a research line in that direction called magic states, which encapsulate different or alternative ways to to phrase, okay, which are the required properties that we need in a quantum computing framework to do relevant computations. And these are, as you can imagine, one of the different phases in which you can study or tackle our field. Still, it is not very, I would say it is not even very well defined what we mean by quantum machine learning. Because It is a concept that touches so many branches of knowledge that sometimes might seem a bit vague. Okay, so with quantum machine learning, what a lot of people refer to, but I don't think it is restricted only to that, is how can you use a quantum circuit to mimic the structure of these neural networks, where instead of neurons, what you have is a quantum node. Okay? And then you have a quantum version of a neural network that works in a similar way than the artificial neural networks, which are classical, but the training and the information processes happen in a quantum system on which you have control. Okay, so this is a subfield I would say, of quantum machine learning, which touches something that we say is variational quantum algorithms or variational quantum computing, in which you control the parameters of a parameterized quantum circuit and you modify these parameters in such a way to minimize a cost function. Okay, this is very similar to the artificial intelligence jargon, but the novelty here is that this quantum neural network can process quantum information. And this framework is very versatile because you can inject classical information inside the quantum circuit by a proper encoding protocol. This is a very exciting research area in quantum machine learning that, while being very active, it's also a bit disappointing because it's full of negative results. Okay, there are a lot of negative results linked to the trainability of these approaches, and overall, and this is a bit more technical, in artificial intelligence we have a sub like we have these neural networks, and there is a structure of these neural networks which is called recurrent neural network or autoregressive models in general. And autoregressive models suffer from a problem in which, as you compute backwards this gradient vanishes. Okay, and all this neural network machinery works by computing gradients of cost functions, and they learn following the direction of these gradients somehow. So in parameterized quantum circuits, we have an analogous of this vanishing gradient problem, which is called the Barren-Plateau problem, in which the gradient of the quantum circuit with respect to a certain parameter, the gradient of the cost function with respect to a given parameter of a quantum circuit vanishes exponentially with the size of the quantum circuit. And you can define there are many ways to define this size. So this is a no-go result that appears in many different directions, and there are a lot of very smart people working on this problem, but it's not necessarily implying that it's a no-go for the whole quantum machine learning approach. It just means that we really need to be careful when thinking on these quantum analogs of machine learning protocols and how to use them.
Wow. Okay. Taking a little detour, I'm very interested in knowing about because you did mention that you play guitar and you are very much inclined towards music, right? That compels me to ask you the question: how has music in general and at large impacted you? Like, take me through the entire journey of you and music.
Okay. There are two different questions here. Like the first one is how music impacted me in my research career, and the second one is how can our research impact somehow in music. Okay. So first, um, we are people that do research, but we are humans, right? And when you do research, you really need to be careful about keeping an environment that is sufficiently stimulating for you to have new ideas, right? And most exciting ideas appear unexpectedly, like, say, in the shower, or walking in the forest, or playing the guitar, for example. And there is absolutely no no way we can predict when an aha moment will appear. And this does not only happen in doing research. I guess it happens also in other situations of life. But I feel in my personal career that music serves as an inspiration for getting new ideas. This is for sure. Yes. Um, on the other hand, and getting back to the initial um the initial part of this conversation, in our group, we do care about understanding how the scientific discovery and the scientific mechanism of getting or reaching new branches of knowledge or getting new ideas, both in science and technology, can articulate with different players of society. Okay, and our views on this matter is that we live in a world that current, like, it is clear. You open the news each day, and there are really exciting advances in so many areas of knowledge that it's even hard to keep track of all them. We even have machine learning algorithms that they do a resume of what are the news, for example, and they compare different newspapers, etc. So our capabilities as human beings to communicate with other human beings are kind of in the limit, right? And to know what is happening in the world. So this is something that we need to take into account as scientists and as people that advocate our life to produce new knowledge and new ideas. And this is a bottleneck that we need to address in the way that we do science. Even inside quantum machine learning, it is very hard, even in this subfield in which not a lot of people, as compared to all the scientists in the world, are working in currently. Still, it is a very hot topic. Even in this case, it is humanly impossible to keep track on every discovery happening yearly, okay, or weekly or daily even. We have conferences, but we have colleagues, collaborations, we have a network, but still it is hard. So we really need to be more creative in the way we we encapsulate our new findings and we communicate these new findings to the rest of people. And if this new way, if this mechanism of doing science, it is it is like this since maybe since human being began doing science. We haven't changed that much, right? We have universities, we have academias. Well, maybe now we have very big companies hosting research groups. But it is a bit naive to think that our scientific system will mutate on its own. And in our group, we do care about finding new mechanisms to, to reach new discoveries through um, other players in society. And we do care that we do think that science should be open not only to the people but also to people doing other stuff. For example, musicians. For example, psychologists, sociologists. Mhm. In this field that potentially will have or has a big impact. Artificial intelligence has a very big impact in society. It is beyond our scope to not only analyze this impact, but also to decide reasonable, sensible, and responsible research directions in this field. So in the case of the music, I do feel that not only we expect that our way to interact with art might change with quantum technologies or new technologies, maybe not even working with the principles of quantum mechanics, but whatever comes next will change our way to interact with with art or our way to do art, just because we are very curious as a species. So and just because of the very nature of exploration that we have in art as artists. So defining this should include collectives coming from the arts to begin with, but also to try to forecast which are the impacts of these new technological waves in different parts of society can also help us to understand better our current challenges. And I strongly believe that we need to do research in that direction as well and to open a bit the doors to welcome more people. And we are partially doing this in my group. So being a bit more concrete now and less pedant, why I will tell you an example for which why music can be thought to 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 change or to help us to understand different ways to understand in a different way quantum mechanics. And there is a very strong link between randomness and music, right? And improvisation. And it turns that quantum mechanics is inherently random. You don't need to have these pseudo random generations or throwing a dice. Okay, when we throw the dice according to the principles of classical mechanics, if you knew the system, it evolves deterministically. Okay, so you can predict which outcome will get if you perfectly know how you will push the dice and which is the angles and everything. So because it's so complicated, then in practice we cannot do it. But if we analyze it with a lot of care, there are no limits in principle to predict this evolution. Quantum mechanics, on the opposite, states that intrinsically there is a randomness associated to the measurement outcomes that you obtain from a quantum system. And this is very grounded to the theory. So when we improvise as musicians, for instance, I don't know if you are a musician. Cool.
And
So
at that, I play the guitar itself.
okay, so you are jamming, no, with people, and
Mm.
you are there with the drummer, and then it's your turn to improvise, and well, you come up with random notes, right? There is a fundamental question from where this randomness comes from, and one possible answer is through quantum mechanics. So there is a link that is being explored by a lot of people here in Barcelona in that direction. Then there is another direction, which is how can we use music that is completely intuitive for some of us. I hope you are still there. Yes, um, to to understand better these complex theories. If you talk, well, we talk a lot with artists, and they say us like they really they have different ways to visualize, for instance, the rhythm of the stuff that they are playing. They have some kind of synesthesia. So I guess it's also sensible to ask, okay, can we have some kind of synesthesia with understanding quantum phenomena, for example, through doing music or through concepts of music, or can some concepts of areas in art can help us to say understand quantum correlation, quantum superposition, or more importantly, can we get inspiration or can we think all together what to do with these quantum technologies and also what to do with the AI? Because nobody says that our use of machine learning algorithms that we have nowadays is the right one, or is the best one, or is the one that is the most healthy for society. So why do we have the right as developers of this AI to decide when they are used? Because musicians also work with AI, for example, and it is impressive. So I think that we are living in an era, and potentially with this new wave of quantum technologies, in which we need to democratize a bit not only the knowledge but also the decisions, because each part of the society might have a lot of background and knowledge, and we are in my group, we might know a lot of, say, machine learning and quantum phenomena, but it is also very important to to learn how to properly make use of the technology that we develop. And this is something that not necessarily we are the right players to answer. And I think that is a collective answer that we need to,
That is
to reach.
that's very true. That is very true, and I feel that you wonderfully were able to put out this and explain this amalgamation of how music or art can inform science and technology and vice versa, and how science is not something abstract but rather very personalized in our realities, in our individual and collective realities at large. But something that I want to particularly have you talk about is how you mentioned the matter of democratizing technology, quantum technology in particular. What is your opinion about maybe in future its implication or effect used in the political causes or discourses, as you term it, citizen engagement being one of them, but even more so when we talk about matters of transparency and fairness and the in general matters of governance? How do you think it would be able to impact those areas?
Okay. The best answer is that I have no idea. Uh, and nobody has no idea, of course. This is, I think, I mean, and also this applies to even like, if you ask me what is quantum machine learning, I think that the first answer I should say is I have no idea. But it makes sense to do research on this and to define it better. So there are many ways to define this, etc., etc. Also, there are many ways to define the political impact and implications of quantum technologies, AI technologies, quantum AI technologies in society, and our our responsibility in this in decision making. Which will be, I have absolutely no idea because I don't know the future. And the future, either quantum mechanically or classically, it is very unpredictable, even more nowadays. However, I can tell you that in the present, and the people dying that doing cutting edge science, cutting edge technologies, and really ruling, if you want, the research directions of our community are not people that we have voted to be there. Okay, we have not voted that um, that these new algorithms that decide um, well, we have certainly not voted, not decided either locally or globally in the planet who sends rockets to space, for example, who puts satellites and pollutes the sky. This is not something that has been democratized. And I don't know if it can be democratized or not, but it is a fact that um, why the sky that we see in Barcelona or in Argentina or in India should be fooled by a link of satellites that do not allow us to do sky observation as clearly as before if we have no link, no connection with that company, which is not even uh, a government, it's a company. And of course, we have no influence, and Elon Musk does not care about this conversation nor anything similar. But it is a fact of our present life. Other fact is that the budget that governments allocate to what people call very discreetly defense is way larger than the budget that goes publicly to do research in mostly any country. Okay, and and inside this budget there is the military industry that does research. Okay, and all these AI algorithms, we can use them for good, but we can also use them for doing wars and under the pretext of defending our nation or people or whatever, kill other nations or people. So we have, of course, no influence on how these budgets will be allocated, and hopefully, we have some influence in our local communities. It is very hard to influence and change this globally, but it is a problem. It is a problem that there is absolutely no equity in deciding which are the research directions in machine learning and AI if the budget and if the resources are going to only a bunch of people that do weapons. So this is also a problem, I think, in my opinion, that I don't know. I think it is already a lot to identify it. I don't know if it will be possible to solve it or not. And I hope we can find more democratic ways, more responsible ways to to reach to knowledge. And maybe the worst problem that we are facing now is how how research directions, particularly happening in AI and also in quantum computing, I believe, are being indirectly decided by very strong research groups belonging to companies. And this happens. This is a reality. And I don't know if it's good or bad. It's something that we need to think if it's the right structure that we want, because society has no influence on the decisions of the company. And in this system, well, it is fair for the company to optimize its earnings, but we really need to ask if it's the right way we want to do science or not. This leaves academic um, institutions in a more weak position, perhaps uncomfortable. And there are a lot of things more of the social structures that we also need to think, aside from quantum machine learning, aside from technologies.
What then do you think would be the most effective way to lead science at individual or smaller capacities?
Mm, my personal feeling on all this is that we need to we need to really open mm, science to other collectives. In which way we do science, I don't know if it's strictly wrong. We need to improve it, but maybe yes, because it has not adapted to these times in which we are moving super fast and we don't have much time to read all the papers, and maybe there is an overproduction. Um, but there is something that I believe it is worthy to think in society. And I don't have the solution, of course.
But okay, probably then approaching it from a different angle, what would you suggest the upcoming or the incoming generation of physicists or researchers, what would more tangibly be your advice to them?
Hmm. Um, One advice I would give to the to the incoming generation, sorry, um, is to do exactly what you are doing, which is talking with a lot of people from different areas, and also working a lot on which are the meaningful questions for not only for the society or more globally, but also for each individual, because it's also true that you are pursuing a career and there are really a lot of branches and things that you can explore. And it's somehow an introspective question that you need to do, like which are the relevant things or the things that you care, the problems that you care about. And for this, there is simply no more solution than talking a lot with a lot of people. What I wanted to make a point before, and now I'm recapping a bit because I forgot, is that science itself, as we know it, will always be open, and we will always have a lot of open problems just because of the very nature of our universe, but also the very nature of how we understand and do science. My opinion, and this is very personal, but maybe some others share it as well, is that the most important problems that we have currently in the world are political. And of course, we know, like, okay, um, we pollute a lot with our machine learning algorithms, and maybe a research question is how to improve their energy efficiency. But it's also true that if we improve their energy efficiency and we have the same budget for doing for training algorithms, we will simply train more algorithms. So we we really need a society to improve our way to regulate um, and to handle all the resources that we have in our planet. Okay, there is maybe this is the most important problem in the world currently, which is handling the resources that we have that are not infinite resources. And here I'm not talking about quantum entanglement or whatever. I'm simply talking about food, about the air quality, about the water. And this is the biggest problem that we like. Well, I mean, I am very young also, so I am like new generation as well, under 30. But this is the biggest problem that challenge that we have as society. Then I think that we can put a little grain from the scientific community to finding mechanisms to open our way to explore and to reach to different solutions, because really the problem that we are facing should be tackled globally. And our problem is not only linked to technology, and there are many people thinking that technology will solve, for instance, climate change, or for instance, the hunger. I really don't know the English for it's hunger. People having hunger, not
Hmm.
eating enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is not a technological problem, it's a political problem. So we really need to strengthen the dialogues between different players in society.
Yeah, I mean, integrating technology to solve these political or societal issues could not be possible until and unless there is an acceptance, complete, utter acceptance of the problem itself in the first place. Because mostly what happens is people fail to completely wake to the fact that the issues that we are facing are not in some distant long from now future. It's they are present right now. It's
Hmm.
permeating through the society currently. And what happens is umpteen times the people at this administrative or level of governance, they are not able to, I read this quote somewhere that no man sees as far as he thinks he does, and
Sorry.
no man sees as far as he thinks he does. So
Hmm.
as much as we think that we have thought about all the different permutations and combinations about what possibilities may be coming true in future, that actually really is just our arrogance. We really do not know what the future holds, and all that we can do is try to resolve the issues at hand today and keep on doing that in order to ensure the best possible future that there could be. And that again comes back, that all of it just converges back to the main topic that you have been talking about, how most problems right now aren't technological in nature, or even if they aren't as big or tremendous as the problems that are societal or political in nature.
Hmm.
That is
Yes,
definitely that.
I was thinking that yes, I told you before that we can, in principle, use quantum computing algorithms to study better complex systems, and this is a really a prominent research direction and application of quantum technologies. Not only complex systems that are inherently quantum, but also to do simulations of classical systems. And there are a lot of people studying how can we improve our simulations that are super costly, for instance, models in atmosphere using quantum algorithms. And we really don't know. We don't know if we can do it more effectively or not. But even if we can simulate better and understand better our world with quantum AI, quantum technologies, machine learning, whatever fancy method you want, I think we are here to change the world, right? And to to make this world habitable, at least, because as it is not going to be habitable. So if you ask me, like, the which are the challenges for people that are strongly passionate about science, is doing science but not losing an eye on the problems that as a society we have. And this is something that is actually one of our research directions in the group, which is the social implication of quantum technologies.
Tell me about a little about your childhood self, as in what in your childhood do you think was able to feed into the scientific curiosity of yours to push you towards doing your life's work in the scientific domain, and by extension and by in more explicit terms the quantum realm.
Sorry, which is the question? Like, why I jumped to quantum to study quantum?
No, no, more like, what do you think as a child made you realize that you have an interest or an inclination towards scientific subjects and the branch of physics, and as you studied and progressed further, it came out to be theoretical physics, and then you got into its intersection with machine learning, and now it's quantum and AI. What was that entire thing like?
Hmm. I think this is all driven by curiosity, and and a bit of innocence. Innocence, yes, and not there's not much more than a bit of flowing to with these times. I in my case, I really liked a lot of things, and I also liked to to listen and hear about the stories like different stories, tales of different kind. And if you're thinking that way, the story of nature is quite amazing, right? Like, if we move a bit existential, it's like, what the hell are we doing here? And then you want to dig in a bit more, and then you say, okay, maybe a branch of science that has a very curated story is actually physics. We have we make strong use of mathematics, but actually with a lot of meaning behind that. And this was sufficiently for me to say, okay, I will study physics. And then, well, yes, I liked a bit more these connections because it's okay with the stories and everything, but I also like to be inside the society and to think better, like what is my role in this society that we were talking about. And I also wanted to have a leg in potential implications of this theory. And then I said, okay, there is this thing called the quantum information theory that has apparently applications in technological things. And then I said, okay, I will do a thesis on this. And then, okay, my thesis we studied like the DQC1 algorithm I was knew about, and the quantum discord, and these entropic measures that are ways to measure how much information you extract from a quantum system. And then I said, okay, well, what's next? Okay, apparently AI is playing something here, and people acknowledge that. Well, yes, in turn, like there are the last Nobel Prize in physics was um, for for a huge discovery of how neural networks work. So I pursued that way. But so maybe my advice to the new generation, and I don't like to feel old, but okay, maybe it's time to feel a bit old. Is like, do not let yourself um, influenciate too much about the public opinion or whatever, but rather follow this, like really follow your intuition. And if it's wrong, okay, you just follow your intuition, and that was already okay. Follow your intuition, but also feed your intuition, and not much like take it easy.
I
Okay,
really have to ask you this now, Dr. Matias. What the hell do you think we are doing here?
in this podcast, I'm talking about random stuff in the world, in like in the universe or whatever.
Existence.
I don't know, but the question is like, why do we why do we care that much, right? Like, I think we are beings that are born to ask questions about different stuff in different contexts. Like, we are very privileged, whatever, of
Privileged, yes.
pursuing a career, privileged to do a career in science, and have this amazing opportunity of follow these stories of maths and physics and everything. but still we ask questions, and maybe this is like a more epochal thing, right? Of like the paradigm in which our scientific society lives. Okay, which is okay. We are here to maybe ask and try to answer questions, but maybe I don't know. Someone else can tell you, no, we are here just to increase the entropy of the universe, and this is the most effective mechanism to generate more entropy and whatever. Or I don't know. I really don't know if it's. Um, I mean, of course, it is not a question that we can answer, but it's a question that we really need to learn how to live with, right?
I think
And to have some
I think
fun in between.
I think you were spot on when you just begin with answering this question. Like, why do we even care? And there is this very prevalent philosophy here in India. The entire Hindu philosophy, if I can describe it in a single sentence, it's just that. Keep on
Hmm.
working towards what you think would be of reason. Just like you said, as scientists, we can just keep on following our scientific curiosities and feeding into it and just keep on working towards something that we think would be able to make our understanding of the universe better. And
Hmm.
that is a well enough, good enough purpose to live for, I think.
Yeah, super cool. Who is this philosopher?
The philosopher is not actually a philosopher, it's actually uh okay. Have you heard about Bhagwat Gita?
I don't think so.
Okay. Bhagwat Gita is like the equivalent of the Sanatan
Okay.
way of living. So it entirely encapsulates the conversation between Sri Krishna, who was a reincarnation of one of the three primary gods, right?
Okay.
And the demigod that he was giving this entire explanation to Arjun, he was amidst a war with his family. And it was a war between justice and injustice, the good and the evil. And he was afraid to pick arms against his family.
Hmm.
And he was sort of the wild card of this side, the good side, so to speak. So Sri Krishna was his charioteer, and he asked, "What is up with you? You have to fight." He was like, "I cannot. All these people, I've been with them from my childhood. What do I do? If I pick arms against them, what good am I? What would the purpose of anything be? What would the purpose of me living be?" And then he goes on to an elaborate explanation about what could be summed up in exactly just this: keep on doing what you're meant to do. We call it karm in Hindi.
Hmm.
So it's like karm equates to action, action that leads to some sort of fulfillment or purpose for the greater good. And those that is a philosophical tangent, but that really ties into our scientific conversation here, in the way that as a scientist or as a person who is following a path of science, that really is the entirety of what you have to do, right? Just keep on following your scientific curiosity and working towards finding answers to the question that you have always been curious about.
Yes, it's similar. Yes. Mm, Still, I mean, I want to stress that it is a very important question, right? And the one that you asked, like, what the hell are we doing here? And this is maybe is one of the engine of the human condition, and blah blah blah. I'm not the
Yeah.
right one to answer that, of course. And I don't know if the best answer is like, what the hell do you care? But I'm thinking like, okay, when you do music, right? Sometimes you're not thinking um, on the scale, which note you are playing, right? You're just playing, right? And this is already a lot of there is a lot of significance in just the playing, right? And playing also provides some kind of answer and meaning without thinking too much on this structure. So what I want to say here is that maybe this answer of what the hell are we doing here is not answered by words, okay, or by theorems, or by whatever. It's just being here. But I don't know. Of course, nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, existing.
Cool.
Okay, so as a final segment in each episode, Dr. Matthias, what is your word to humanity at large?
My work.
Your word to humanity. Like, what is your message to humanity at large?
That you did it wrong. Just go home and recap. I don't know. I mean, I don't. I'm very curious
Uh,
about what others answered to that question. Um, I think I think that it's not a word because it's like saying to Elon Musk, "Hey, put all those satellites off back to Earth." But it's more like a desire or um, or um, or some kind of utopic thought that I really think like we should. We are really underdeveloped and in the stone age of civilization in the sense that okay we did miracles and we I don't know in certain cities and places of the world okay sometimes for maybe more than 24 hours we don't kill each other and this is already a lot but this doesn't happen globally and of course, like my desire is peace, right? And can we, instead of whether the value of Bitcoin or the value of the gold or how much a bullet costs or whatever is the menu or the thing that makes people orbitate on. Why can't these questions that we are trying to tackle can be a bit more prominent and a bit more relevant for other parts of society. This implies more education, this implies more health, and this implies perhaps to rethink our social structure better. We cannot dream of that if we don't dream on like distributing wealth, food, and access to housing. So, if I had to give a word for the world, of course, it's that.
Dr. Matias Bilkis, thank you so very much for being here. It was a
Cool.
lovely and delightful conversation.
Well, I hope you liked it. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.